Welcome to Earth and Kind Quests. My name is Mike, and this video shares about what might happen when a group of 4 adventurers at level 8 will battle against a group of 4 red dragon wyrmlings. The characters face this challenge as part of a larger quest to confront a fire-breathing red dragon at the dragon's lair. The encounter will follow the rules of the 2024 Player's Handbook in Dungeons & Dragons. The red dragon wyrmlings will use the statistics in the new 2025 Monster Manual. According to the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide, the encounter difficulty is slightly above the low category. However, each of these 4 characters already faced a serious duel against another level 8 character. The group is missing some of its power resources that cannot be available during this battle. In the video text description, you can see the web links for all of the level 8 character sheets in D&D Beyond. You will notice that the characters are not necessarily optimized for combat. Rather, they represent the kinds of characters that I might play starting at level 1, and then making choices up through level 8. These characters were intended to contribute effectively in exploration, social interaction, and combat individually and as a group. The ASMR bladesinger wizard named Sailor Moonglow is roughly equal in her dexterity-based melee combat and her spellcasting, although she is not fully optimized in one or the other. Depending on when you might see the character sheet in D&D Beyond, the Fireball spell should be replaced by Lightning Bolt in preparation for a battle with a red dragon. The Wood Elf Eldritch Knight Fighter named Eldritch is a dexterity-based melee combatant. She relies on her fast movement, limited spellcasting for exploration and defense, and a combination of her fighter weapon masteries and combat-oriented feats. The Gold Dragonborn Life Domain Cleric named Varion Vitalimar can provide healing and other support for a group. This support for others extends into all aspects of adventuring, and it can be most crucial during a combat encounter. The Forest Gnome Circle of the Land Druid named Jaorn Taran ordinarily can bring powerful spellcasting with adaptability in many situations. Unfortunately, the druid currently is missing his equipment except for his clothing and a makeshift druidic spellcasting focus. He expended many of his power resources during his narrow escape from being held as a prisoner at the dragon's lair. The red dragon wyrmlings can fly, deliver a serious rend attack, and charge up to release a cone of fire breath. The wyrmlings can use blind sight with a limited range of 10 feet. Their high armor class and hit points will make them difficult to defeat. Leading up to this point, the 4 heroic adventurers agreed to work together on a quest to confront a red dragon at its lair. They began their trek across an expanse of lava terrain on their way toward the dragon's lair inside a volcano. They learned about some of the natural hazards of the environment, especially noting the erupting columns of magma. The dragon sent another 4 powerful level 8 characters to attack the approaching heroes. In one way or another, the 4 heroes managed to succeed or at least to survive. After their separate duels against the dragon's 4 enforcers, the 4 adventurers found each other again and began to contemplate how to continue with their quest, marching toward the dragon's lair. They completed a short rest, recovering some of their power resources and healing back their full hit points. Now the characters continue to advance toward the volcano lair. Quickly, though, they realize that they will need to rest somewhere overnight for a full, long rest and recovery. Otherwise, their previous short rest provided not quite enough to succeed in a fight against the fire-breathing red dragon. Meanwhile, though, the land druid Jaorn Taran can share about what he observed and experienced while he was being held as a prisoner inside the dragon's lair, and possibly the group can devise a plan. Inside the volcano lair, the dragon is furious that his 4 chosen enforcers all failed in their task to capture the approaching 4 heroes. The dragon does not tolerate failure, and its 4 enforcers have vanished for now, seeking other opportunities while avoiding the dragon's wrath. In this case, the dragon summons more of its red dragon Wyrmlings to find and attack the advancing heroes, no longer interested in capturing them alive. The adult red dragon personally will guard its precious lair, intent on defending this place at any cost. The Wyrmlings begin to search through the surrounding area, looking for the adventurers. They will not rest until they can complete their task in obedience to the adult red dragon. The 4 adventurers attempt to remain undetected by the Wyrmlings while they search for a place to rest and to contemplate their next steps. The wood elf eldritch knight Eldritch uses her once-per-day free casting of Pass Without Trace, adding a bonus of +10 for the group's stealth checks, while trying to seek cover behind rock formations, dead trees, columns of magma, and scattered remnants of ancient ruins. Additionally, the bladesinger wizard Sailumungalo upcast the spell Enhance Ability with a 3rd level spell slot, targeting the cleric and the druid to grant advantage on their stealth rolls. Importantly, none of the characters wear heavy armor that otherwise would impose disadvantage on stealth checks. The stealth rolls range from 24 through 37. The characters will outcompete the passive perception of the Wyrmlings at 14. However, they will need to stay alert and to hide behind reasonable cover whenever the Wyrmlings might be flying nearby. The land druid Jaorn Taran draws on his knowledge of nature to ascertain the safest kind of place where the group can avoid the natural hazards that could emerge here. The druid is aware that many but not all places potentially could become dangerous with sudden bursts of magma or poisonous gas. The druid rolls a nature check, and the result of 21 allows for him to guide the group toward one particular spot of ancient ruins that appears to be partly buried in the ground in such a manner as to minimize the potential of an unexpected natural hazard. The team travels cautiously, waiting for the opportune moment when the Wyrmlings are not looking closely so that the adventurers can move from one spot of cover to another. After reaching safely to the ancient ruins that the druid had identified, the team considers how to maximize the safety of this position. The eldritch knight applies her survival skills to construct a camouflage barrier. The life domain cleric assists by casting the cantrip of Guidance. The survival check of 28 allows for the eldritch knight to construct an effective hiding place. Depending on how the individual characters will act, they could benefit from partial cover or full cover while inside the protected space. Some hours pass. The 4 characters rotate in their guard duty, watching while the 4 red dragon Wyrmlings continue to search relentlessly through the surrounding area. Based on the druid's prior knowledge about noticing only 2 Wyrmlings inside the dragon's lair earlier, the cleric applies his skills with insight with a result of 18 to ascertain that no other Wyrmlings or additional creatures are at the volcano lair with the dragon at this time. The 4 Wyrmlings on patrol right now are the only major threat outside the adult dragon itself. The life domain cleric, Varian Vitalimar, awakens his companions. He suggests that the team could face the Wyrmlings now, find another different place to complete their full long rest, and then continue tomorrow morning without worrying about the Wyrmlings during their final approach into the dragon's lair. In order for this plan to work, though, the adventurers will need to attract the Wyrmlings purposefully to this location. With some reluctance about revealing their position, the other characters agree with the cleric's plan. Earlier, the heroes completed a short rest with variable benefits for each character. Each character has spent hit dice to retain the full amount of hit points. The full long rest, however, will need to wait until after a battle against the Wyrmlings. The interruption here will force a longer time to complete the long rest. In the present situation, the characters want to attract the attention of the Red Dragon Wyrmlings. At a range of 30 feet from behind their partial cover, the Eldritch Knight and the Druid both can use the cantrip of Druidcraft to create minor effects. In a targeted space of a 5-foot cube, the Eldritch Knight creates an image of spectral dancing fairies. The Druid creates the sound of an animal, in this case mimicking one of the enormous bears who lives in this region. Meanwhile, the Life Cleric casts the cantrip Thaumaturgy to create phantom sounds of ominous whispers. The Wyrmlings notice the disturbance and they approach. The 4 adventurers are partly concealed inside the ruins, but they are not hiding or using the most advantageous cover right now. Rather, they want to be noticed and to lure the Wyrmlings into this battle. The Wyrmlings are alert and they are aware of their surroundings. They can ascertain that the characters are hiding inside the old ruins. The characters and the Wyrmlings roll for initiative. Overall, the 4 adventurers rolled higher than most of the 4 Wyrmlings. 2 of the Wyrmlings will act last in the initiative count. In this case, the adventurers will gain a potential advantage in the battle. In round 1, the Eldritch Knight Eldritch is the first to act. She moves out to engage in melee combat with the nearest Wyrmling within her reach near ground level. Against the Wyrmling's armor class of 17, the first attack with a scimitar hits. It delivers 10 points of slashing damage. The nick weapon mastery of the scimitar allows for an additional attack with another weapon in a different hand. The nick attack with a short sword hits and brings 9 points of piercing damage. The vex weapon mastery of the short sword grants advantage on the Eldritch Knight's next attack roll against this Wyrmling. The advantage short sword attack hits again, producing another 10 points of piercing damage and applying the vex weapon mastery once more. Eldritch uses her action surge for another 2 attacks. She cannot apply the nick weapon mastery of the scimitar more than once per turn, so instead she uses only her short sword. Rolling with advantage, the short sword hits once again and delivers 10 points of piercing damage, plus the vex weapon mastery continues. The final advantage attack with the short sword is a critical hit, scoring 17 points of piercing damage to the Wyrmling. Right now, this Wyrmling is suffering, with only 19 of its total 75 hit points remaining. One Wyrmling moves forward toward the ruins, detecting that 3 opponents are clustered together in here, potentially vulnerable to the Wyrmling's fire breath weapon attack. The Wyrmling breathes out fire in a 15-foot cone, rolling 7 die 6 for 22 hit points of fire damage, engulfing the bladesinger, the life cleric, and the land druid. All 3 of the targets succeed with their dexterity saving throws, so they will sustain only half of the fire damage. Moreover, the bladesinger and the druid use their reactions to cast absorb elements for reducing half of the damage again. The life cleric, as a gold dragonborn, is naturally resistant to fire damage. All 3 of the targets sustain only 5 points of fire damage. The circle of the land druid, Jaorn Taran, is the next to act. He moves out to stand in a position where he can align his aim with 2 of the Wyrmlings. He upcasts Lightning Bolt at 4th level, shooting along a line into both of these Wyrmlings. The druid rolls 9 die 6 for 43 points of lightning damage. Both of the Wyrmlings fail their dexterity saving throws, and they suffer the full amount of damage, now with only 32 of their 75 hit points remaining. Currently engaged in melee contact with the Eldritch Knight, one Wyrmling decides to release its fire breath weapon solely at this one target. The Wyrmling rolls 7 die 6 for a total of 26 points of fire damage. The Eldritch Knight succeeds on the saving throw for only half of this damage, plus she uses her reaction with absorb elements to reduce the damage by half again, down to only 6 points. The bladesinger wizard, Sayla Moonglow, uses her bonus action to activate her blade song. She moves out next to the druid and follows the druid's example by launching another lightning bolt, upcast at 4th level, against the same 2 Wyrmlings. The bladesinger rolls 9d6 for a total of 37 points of lightning damage. Once again, both of the Wyrmlings fail their dexterity saving throws. The damage brings them down to 0 hit points. Both of the Wyrmlings fall to the ground, defeated. Already, the tide of battle has moved in favor of the 4 adventurers. The Wyrmlings now are outnumbered, and so far they have been unable to deliver much damage against their opponents. The Life Domain Cleric, Varion Vitalimar, steps forward and aims his divine energy at the Wyrmling engaged in melee with the Eldritch Knight. The Cleric upcasts Guiding Bolt with a 4th level spell slot. The attack roll of 25 hits the target. The Cleric rolls 7d6 for a total of 28 radiant damage. Another Wyrmling falls to the ground, defeated. At the end of round 1, the 4 adventurers are on the verge of winning this battle. However, the 1 remaining Wyrmling will not accept defeat, and it will continue to fight. In round 2, the Eldritch Knight, Eldritch, uses her bonus action to cast Jump on herself. She moves and jumps upward, making a flurry of attacks as she jumps alongside the Wyrmling. The first attack with the scimitar hits for 8 points of slashing damage and enabling the Nick weapon mastery. The Nick attack with a short sword produces a critical hit, and it scores 15 points of piercing damage plus the Vex weapon mastery. A final short sword attack hits again, and it brings 11 points of piercing damage. The Eldritch Knight falls approximately 20 feet back down to the ground, sustaining 5 points of bludgeoning damage. She lands prone, but she still can use half of her movement to stand up. The last remaining Wyrmling moves to reposition itself against its opponents. The Wyrmling snarls while it attempts to recharge its breath weapon, but it fails to recharge. The Wyrmling continues to move, focusing on the druid as a potentially soft target for 2 rend attacks. The first rend attack hits the unarmored druid, inflicting 7 points of slashing and 3 points of fire damage. The second rend attack hits, causing another 5 points of slashing and 2 points of fire damage. The druid accepts the onslaught while maintaining his confidence that the battle soon should reach its conclusion. The druid repeats the same approach that had worked previously, upcasting Lightning Bolt with his final 4th level spell slot. He rolls 9d6 for a total of 41 points of lightning damage. The Wyrmling fails the dexterity saving throw, suffers the full amount of damage, and now retains only 34 of its total 75 hit points. Once again, the bladesinger follows the druid's example, upcasting Lightning Bolt with her final 4th level spell slot. She rolls 9d6 for a total of 30 points of lightning damage. The Wyrmling succeeds on the dexterity saving throw, and it will avoid half of the damage. The Wyrmling growls in defiance, unwilling to surrender to the adventurers. The Life Domain Cleric recognizes the opportunity to end this battle. With his last remaining 4th level spell slot, he upcasts Guiding Bolt. He rolls 21 to hit, and he rolls 7d6 for a total of 34 points of radiant damage, more than sufficient against the Wyrmling's remaining 19 hit points. The final Wyrmling falls to the ground. All 4 of the Red Dragon's Wyrmlings have been defeated. The level 8 adventuring party has won this battle. The heroes have learned about the ferocity of the Wyrmlings, and they can imagine that the adult Red Dragon bears considerably more power. The 4 adventurers decide that they should move to another location, away from the carcasses of the defeated Wyrmlings that otherwise could attract unwanted attention. At some distance from here, the characters find another set of ancient ruins where they can complete their long rest. The land druid, Jaorn Taran, recalls that he saw similar kinds of statues and structural remnants at the dragon's lair. He shares about his observations from the time when he was a prisoner inside the lair, where he noticed the giant-sized and ancient architectural stonework ruins. Based on the druid's description, combined with direct observations at their current location, the bladesinger wizard and the Life Domain Cleric discuss about the ancient lore and magic of this region, specifically in terms of what they can learn about the dragon's lair. The bladesinger and the Life Cleric are equally skilled with Arcana. Technically, one provides the help action for the other, rolling with advantage for a result of 22. The Arcana check reveals that the ancient ruins relate to 4 primordial entities that represent the elemental energies of air, earth, fire, and water. The one surviving statue remnant here refers to just one of those entities, yet the druid had seen all 4 intact statues inside the ancient greeting hall, and in another location just outside the entrance in the crater of the volcano. The characters surmise that the original purpose of the ancient ruins was related to the combined powers of the 4 elemental energies of air, earth, fire, and water. More recently, though, the red dragon seized control and enhanced the fire energy. Potentially, a complete set of the 4 intact statues of elemental power could connect with the primordial energy of this ancient place. Regarding this possibility, the heroes will need to look more closely in person at the dragon's lair. Meanwhile, inside the ancient ruins at the volcano, the fire-breathing red dragon realizes that its 4 wyrmlings have not returned. The dragon can infer that the wyrmlings have been defeated at the hands of the 4 approaching adventurers. Perhaps these adventurers can present a stronger challenge than the dragon had anticipated at first. The dragon summons a surge of energy in the volcano, sending out rumbling earthquakes as a show of the dragon's force. The dragon moves deeper within its lair, where it absorbs the potency of its treasure hoard. With a commitment to defend the lair and the treasure hoard at any cost, the dragon prepares for whenever the adventurers will arrive here. For now, the 4 adventurers rest. However, in the current location close to the dragon's lair, toxic fumes hang in the air. The characters will accept this risk while they prepare for the next dawn, when they will march into the dragon's volcano lair. Our story will continue in the next episodes of Nemesis Battles. In the comment section, please share your thoughts and suggestions about what could have happened differently and what could happen next. While you consider about your comments, here is a brief bonus ending content along with ambience audio by Fantasy Craft Forge. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.